This is the order in which elements of the standards-based IEP are developed. They all depend on data from the student's performance on standards-based assessments, so before starting any new IEP draft, it's critical to gather that data from any relevant teachers. First, we'll take a look at what information should appear in the plop and in what format. In the introductory information, make sure you are listing the services currently in place, not the ones that you are proposing for the new IEP. In the evaluation section, mention whatever test scores or other criteria were most relevant in determining the student's specific eligibility. There's no need to include all the testing data gathered for the eligibility. It's most common to organize the academic and functional information by going domain by domain. That is, a section for reading, another section for writing, and so on. So it's also okay to have one heading for academic strengths and then listing all the academic information under that as long as you touch on all four areas: reading, writing, math, and other academic areas. You'll need to mention some data for each area even if the student does not have a disability or services in every area. This shows that the team is consistently monitoring where the disability is and isn't affecting access to instruction. It's also an opportunity to reference the accommodations that are provided during each type of instruction, even where services are not in place. All the academic elements are supported by data that describe the student's performance relative to content area standards. Likewise, all the functional elements are supported by data, but there are no standards in these areas, so the data can be anecdotal as long as it is objective. The summary statement is a way of highlighting for all parties what evidence you have that the disability is directly impacting access to the standards of learning. For any student turning 14 years old or older within their annual IEP review period, a transition plan must also be included. On the secondary transition pages, case managers are required to write a transition summary that is a present level in each of these areas. This summary gives an overall picture of the student's plans for after high school and the needed support required by the high school to help the student reach success after graduating. Much of this information can be gained through a student interview, teacher observations, and current grades and progress notes. Indicator 13 is a review conducted by the state to ensure compliance of IEPs for transition purposes. Indicator 13 requires that the following procedure and protocols in review of IEPs for students 14 years old or older are in place. Indicator 14 requires that 1 year after high school, staff contacts the graduates to measure percentage of youth that are in compliance with post-high school goals as outlined in their IEPs. When writing goals for transition, sometimes goals that are elsewhere within the IEP can be used to address these transition areas. Examples of annual goals are referenced in the appropriate categories here. So let's take a look at a sample plot for a student. This one will not include transition information, but will touch on all the other academic and functional areas.